Hi, it's Ari. Today I'm going to show you how to make a little Olaf out of a sock. I actually found this idea on Pinterest, and I know there's a few different ways you can do it, but I'm going to show you the way that I do it today. I've used it with a lot of my students and they've loved this little guy. I know we're almost approaching spring, but since everyone's still obsessed with Frozen, I figured this would be a great little project for your kids to do to make themselves a little stuffed animal friend that they can enjoy for days and days to come. So for this project, you're definitely going to need a white sock, but it can be any size that you have. You're also going to need some orange and either black or brown fabric. Felt is great. I have orange felt, but I don't have black or brown felt, so I just had some brown fabric laying around that's actually got a shiny texture on it, so I'm just going to use the back. So you can get creative with that. Whatever you have, even paper could probably work. Black, brown, or orange paper, that would probably be fine too. Then you're going to want to use 3 black buttons, which are going to go here on Olaf. And of course, 2 little cotton balls for Olaf's feet. And then you're going to need something to tie around Olaf. So you're going to need either hair ties work fine, string works fine. I'm going to be using this elastic, white elastic string that I just happen to have, but really any kind of string or tie is fine, and it doesn't even really have to be white because you're not really going to see it. Then you're going to need glue. So I'm going to use hot glue just for the purposes of this video so that everything kind of sticks really quickly. But if you don't want your kids to use hot glue, Elmer's glue is good too. And then you're going to need stuffing and some kind of rocks. I know rocks sounds kind of like, whoa, I don't want to bring rocks in there for my kids to play with, but these are little rocks that you use for like aquariums and things. You actually don't have to use these. I'm just going to use them to put some at the bottom of my Olaf so that he doesn't topple around and fall, because if you put something heavy at the bottom, then he'll be more sturdy. But this actual sample Olaf that I have here, I didn't even use any rocks, I just used stuffing, and he does stand okay. So that's optional, but I'm just going to include that in the video for you guys. And since we're using materials that we should have at home already, because I know most of us are quarantined, I get that some of you may not have stuffing like I do. If you don't have stuffing, you could actually just use little bits of fabric that you're not needing anymore. You could use other old socks and just cut them up into smaller pieces. You could use paper towels, you could use tissue paper, get creative. So it doesn't have to be stuffing, but you are going to need something to stuff this guy with. And that's it. So let's get started. It's probably going to be helpful for you to have a picture of Olaf in front of you so that when you are cutting out the pieces of the face and the hands and things like that, you'll have a reference. You don't need a template to cut out these features. Honestly, I just looked at a picture. So I took a picture of my face for you and my arms. So if you want to print that out and use that to kind of use as a template, you can. But really just look at a picture of Olaf and, you know, start cutting out his arms, his eyebrows, his mouth, his little twigs for his head, and his carrot nose. It doesn't have to be perfect. So, I mean, this is your project and I want you to be creative and do this however you enjoy. Once we have all of our pieces here ready to go, and we've cut out our face, including our arms, and we have our googly eyes and our carrot nose, and all of this is ready to go, we can actually start assembling our Olaf. So we're going to take our sock, and we're going to take our rocks, if we are going to use them, or whatever sort of small, heavy pieces we have at home. And we're just going to put some of those at the bottom of our sock. You're going to have to kind of judge for yourself what's enough. You just want a little bit so that when you hold this, it feels heavy. Like, see, the top is falling, but the bottom is staying in place. Maybe we need just a tiny bit more. So you really only need enough in there to make it feel sturdy to you. So once I'm kind of holding up the sock and seeing if the bottom part topples over, which it doesn't, see how the bottom stays secure? That's all I wanted. And now you're going to stuff it. So here's the thing. You don't need a huge amount of stuffing, even if you're using fabric or whatever the case may be. Start small, because when we stuff him, a little bit actually goes a long way, and we don't want to fill up the sock because we want to make sure we have enough to make 3 little snowman balls, right? So we'll start small, but we want to make sure that this part of Olaf is going to be the chunkiest, right? It's going to be the biggest circle. So I kind of just eye it. Maybe a tiny bit more. And if you make a mistake and it's not big enough or it's too big, you can always take your tie or your string off and just take some out. It's not a big deal. Okay. I think that's going to be good to start. So now I'm going to take my string and I'm going to tie around that little ball that I just made. I'm not going to cut it until I know that everything is the size that I want. Okay, so now I'm going to do some more stuffing for the middle part. And the middle part we want to be actually the smallest, because remember, if you look at Olaf from the movie Frozen, his head's pretty big and his little middle part is smaller. So that's what we're going to try and aim for. So I'm only going to take a little bit of stuffing. I think that's good. So you want to kind of like pat down your stuffing and then pull your sock so that when you tie it, you're not leaving any extra space in there. It's just going to be the stuffing. Okay? Tie it nice and tight. Okay, now we're ready to do the head. I'm going to take my stuffing. Is this big enough? No, I think I need a little bit more. Okay, I think that's good because I want to make sure that I have enough space to tie the top of his head. So now I'm going to use the elastic because I ran out of my little ties, or I could actually, if I feel comfortable, I could just cut one of these, trim it, and use that one. So that it's consistent. Okay, now I'm feeling good about the size of everything, so now I'm going to trim. If you used an elastic, like a hair elastic, then you don't even need to do this. If you used a string, you do. Okay, so now we have a little something like this. It's cute, but it's not sitting as nicely as this little guy, right? this is the same exact sock. I did the same exact thing. The difference is this guy I sort of squished down and glued together. So that's the next thing we're gonna do. So I think if you don't want your child to use hot glue at all, then I would just do this step for them using the hot glue, because we do want to make sure that your Olaf can be sort of squished together in a more natural snowman-like way. So I'm just going to take my hot glue and I'm going to put a few dots of hot glue sort of close to the hair elastic. Like that. My hot glue is really hot because it's been going for a long time, so it's definitely going to take a while to dry. But then I'm going to squish it together and I'm going to hold it and I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to go all the way around, but I'm just going to make sure to hold it so that it stays squished. And again, if you have really hot glue, you're going to have to hold it until it dries. But it's going to be really cute, so it's going to be worth it. Maybe one more over here. There. I'm going to do the same thing here on the near the other elastic. Squish them on down. He'll bounce up just a little bit once it's dry, and then it'll look a little bit more normal. Okay, let's check him out. Doesn't that look a little bit more Olaf-like? I think so. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to add all of the little details. So what I like to do first is I like to do the face. That way we get that part done, and it's gonna be really important because we wanna make sure to place everything in the correct spot. So I would start with his mouth so that you know that everything above it is gonna fit based on where the mouth ends. So I'm gonna take his mouth, I'm gonna put my hot glue or Elmer's glue onto my mouth. Okay. If you're using hot glue, obviously, be very, very careful and go very slow. Okay, so I would pick which side of your Olaf sock you actually want to be the front. I'm thinking this looks like a good front. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put his mouth right here. Okay, so now we've got his mouth. We're gonna do the same thing for all the rest of his facial features. Then I'll do the eyes. He really needs his eyebrows to make him look more like Olaf, right? And you want him to kind of look a little bit surprised because that's Olaf's signature look. So it's always good to kind of round out his eyebrows a little bit. Make them kind of high up on his face. I think that'll be really cute. Okay, and you want to do his little hair, his little twig hair. For that, I'm just going to stick some glue up top and then lay it on. Like that. Okay. Now we're gonna do his arms, and when we do his arms, remember, we're gonna put his hands facing the front and they're gonna wrap around the back. But we wanna make sure we leave space for a button. Okay, so you can kind of place them before you glue it just to make sure, like that, and then just check it out, just see, is that button gonna fit? Yes, it is. Okay, so we're gonna now put our glue. And also I think his thumb, if he has a thumb, is supposed to sort of face the sky. Face the top of his head, but you don't have to be perfect. Okay, then we're gonna do the other one. If your guy's a little bit creased at the front, you can kind of just work that out a little bit. All right, then we're gonna do the buttons. Remember, he has one button that goes on his belly, right in the middle, on the center circle, on his little center puff. And then there's gonna be two down at the bottom. All right, so we'll do one here. And a second one, which will go right here. Okay? Now the last thing is we're gonna put on his little feet. And I think the best way to do that is to stand him up so that you know how he's gonna be standing without his feet, and then glue his feet on like that so that they hold him up. So I'm just gonna put glue on the flattest side of my cotton ball. I'm gonna find a spot next to his buttons, but sort of facing outward. Okay. Press those in nicely, let them dry. Make sure he's standing the way you want. And you're done. Just for reference, this Olaf has the rocks at the bottom and this Olaf doesn't. They pretty much look the same. This one is a little bit more sturdy. This guy does fall sometimes, but if you put his feet in the right place and stand him up normally, he should be fine. Good job, guys! Our stuffed Olaf is all done and ready to play with. I hope that you had fun and enjoyed making him, and I can't wait to create with you again.